you remember the Three Olives commercial with the werewolf?
The vodka. Yes, I do.
That like amazing cover of Werewolves of London.
Yep.
It was so fucking sexy too. It was like the guy. Oh my God, who sang that song? It was so good. We'll play a clip of it.
Werewolves of London. Werewolves of London. If you hear him howling around your kitchen door, you better not let him in.
It was so sexy. It was this like woman was like in the bar and she was perusing for a big dish of beef chow mein, if you catch my drift.
Zoinks.
And the hot guy was a werewolf.
Yeah.
And it was, oh, that's good. Is this our first werewolf movie? Spoiler alert.
Since we started video,
What other werewolf movie did we do?
I guess not movie, but we've done Teen Wolf.
Isn't the first time we know we're talking about werewolves? This is not. Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your twice weekly pop culture podcast where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. And as always, this is a spoiler show, as evidenced by the fact that we've already spoiled probably the best plot point of
this movie.
of the movie in the intro.
Fair.
But it is like a 15-year-old movie. So
yeah. 13.
give or take. This movie's old enough to see itself.
Well, from when it was filmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the 2007 horror comedy anthology film Trick or Treat.
What is that?
It's them.
Oh my God. Look at me. It's not a trick. It's real.
Tonight is about respecting the customs, not breaking them.
It was a special request from friend and sometimes collaborator of the show, Stefan. Woo! He recommended it to me twice, actually, and it's still happening. I just turn into a werewolf. Just
You're like the kid at the beginning.
Oh yeah, just blood and vomit.
Just vomiting on the candy.
Blood and chocolate. Werewolves. Yeah, he recommended it to me. He was like, I feel like you'd like it. And I believed, given the talent involved and people who know me, when they tell me I might like something, I tend to. However, I actually, to cut to the chase, really did like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I watched the movie a couple days ago and actually really liked it. And we were going back and forth between it and a couple other things. Mm-hmm. And we were going to do Practical Magic. And for all of you out there clamoring for Practical Magic, we're gonna do it.
We're gonna still do it.
We just determined that it didn't necessarily need to be a Halloween movie.
I mean, Halloween is a thing in the movie. But
well, and it was the Witchtober, which all of these movies, even The Babysitter, I mean, I think a satanic babysitter cult
it's witchy.
Can fall into.
Witchy.
And so this would be the outlierist the most. However, there is a
there's a magical
female component that was interesting. So
plus this on the whole is more of like a standard Halloween movie, and because Halloween is on a Saturday, this episode will come out on a Friday, so you can have a recommendation for something actually spooky to watch on.
Well, it's super cult. Like, it's not a mainstream movie by my understanding.
So, apparently it was filmed and was supposed to release in 2007, and then it didn't, and it was supposed to release again, and then it didn't, and then it just went straight to DVD in 2009.
Well, let me ask you, before we dive in, did you know anything about it?
So after I saw him in the movie, I knew about the kid with the burlap sack, but I like recognized the imagery of him, but that's all I knew.
But you didn't seem particularly excited. I mean, you were kind of game in the way that you usually are, but
Well, I was really excited for Practical Magic.
we're gonna do it.
But I was excited for it today.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
So, what did you like it? What did you think?
I did like it. It was a little different than I thought because you said it's Krampus. It's the guy that did Krampus. And that was like one contained story about a family. And this was like 5 different stories that like sort of connected with each other, but not entirely.
It's anthology.
Yeah. And so I was a little thrown by that at first, but I did like it. And I do also think they all came to a satisfying conclusion.
It's one of the movies that's kind of fun to watch after the fact.
Yeah.
Like watching this now was fun in a way that I'm sure I would have liked it when I saw it, but there was something kind of neat in it. I mean, would I dare say it's ahead of its time?
Potentially.
In a pre-American Horror Story world?
Sure, yes.
So written and directed by Michael Dougherty and produced by Brian Singer. As you mentioned, it's an anthology, or it's 5 stories that are presented sort of like one after the other. And then only, at least for me, by the end, you realize that they're like interconnected.
So they all take place on like one suburban block. Essentially.
Well, they take place many places, but it's like a row of houses that are kind of involved. And the kind of constant or the through line is this character named Sam, who is the pumpkin head. And
not a fan.
I loved him. Are you kidding?
That's a big no for me.
Oh my God, I thought he was so cute. I loved him just getting into mischief, just like sort of like chaperoning like Halloween, making sure that things.
Okay, I liked it until he was just like stabbing Brian Cox with razor blades.
I didn't like the razor blades.
Yeah.
At all, or the glass.
At that point, I was like, fuck off.
And also, we do think that he did something to spite the dog.
I think he ate him.
We don't see, we just hear a meow. And
I don't like it.
Spite the dog was as cute as his name was awesome.
He's like a little terrier.
Mm-hmm. And he was played by Zip.
That is like a good dog name. I like it.
There was something so completely unpretentious about it.
Yeah.
There was something just so straightforward, Halloween, trick or treat. And I kind of feel funny saying that there's not a concept or it's not high concept, because I mean it is in the sense that
it's like all the things.
Mm-hmm. It's just very Tales from the Crypt, Twilight Zone sort of.
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
How is this not a franchise? Like, how is this not an ongoing?
Well, he made Krampus.
Sure, but no, I mean, I think that we should be on Trick or Treat Volume 6 by now.
I see.
With like a mix of like newcomers and like odd A-listers that have no business being anywhere near it.
Sure.
And
Anna Paquin.
Well, this was before
This
Sookie.
was before True Blood.
Yeah.
But she already had an Oscar at this point, and she had been in the X-Men movies. So she was like a name.
Well, you said that the writer-director wrote X2.
He did.
So he's apparently good at putting a story together. Yeah. But
also, there is another one of these in production right now.
Oh.
Yeah. But only Trick or Treat 2. So.
Well, that if it was ahead of its time, maybe it's catching up.
Maybe.
But I would just love that. I would love a series of movies that's just sort of short film, like vignettes. I actually, the more that I think about it, because I watched it again with you, and I like, oh, I love this movie.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it a lot, and it was the type of thing where it was like scary enough, but it wasn't too scary to like it didn't actually terrify me. But it was like scary enough to be a Halloween movie. It's
like funny scary. Like, it's not like a hard, because I called it like a horror comedy, and it's not like there aren't jokes in the movie, but it's like scary in a fun way.
Yeah.
Like scary, and instead of like jump scares, you're more so laughing.
Yeah.
And not at the movie with it. But it had an old school vibe. I like the trick or treat rules. The premise is that Sam is like a sort of.
It's short for Samhain.
What does that mean?
It's the Celtic holiday.
He's like a spirit of Halloween, sort of like we have a spirit of Christmas and an Easter bunny and whatnot. And he goes around and makes sure that the rules are being followed. And if you don't follow the rules, he interferes. And you know, that's kind of the whole Halloween thing with the trick or treat. It's like, either you give me a treat or I play a trick on you.
Yeah.
And he very much follows these rules. And
I do, though, think there's a difference between playing a trick and stabbing someone with razor blades.
Well, to be fair, Brian Cox fell on them a whole bunch.
No, but he, like, stabs him in the
That was a
leg.
box cutter.
Whatever. That's a razor blade, man. He stabs him in the leg with it. He stabs him in the foot with it.
He wasn't giving him a treat.
He broke into his house and killed his dog.
Well, okay, that's unforgivable. But Brian Cox killed the kids.
Did he kill the kids?
Yeah, he was the bus driver.
Oh, I missed that connection. Okay. Never mind. Withdrawn. Brian Cox deserved to get slashed with razor blades.
So the 5 stories, we have Leslie Bibb, we have the Vixens, we have Principal Wilkinson, we have the short bus / rock quarry, and then the Brian Cox story. So those are like the 5 main stories. And friend of the show, favorite of the show, Leslie Bibb.
Yeah.
I don't know where this keeps coming from, but
She's
I turned this
great.
movie on and I was like, of course.
Although I did say when we were watching it, this is my least favorite flavor of Leslie Bibb because she just is like nag at the
Naggy
beginning. She's
housewife.
like, well, you're not going to take the Halloween decorations down. You're going to sleep till noon and then you're going to play video games till 4. And I'm just like, good Lord.
In her defense, he fell asleep watching VHS porn while she was cleaning up. So
that is true. So it's his fault she got murdered in the Halloween decorations.
I mean, her sin was, which I didn't know that, the blowing out the candle and the jack-o'-lantern. I didn't know you weren't supposed to do that. I thought it was a fire hazard. So,
well, I think it is if it's like,
I mean, I guess a damp.
if it's like on your house, but it was like in like outside the fence line of their house. And so I also kind of just think it's just a tea light. It's going to burn out in like an hour. So.
Well, and we were getting mixed messages from her because like her literal first line is how much she loves Halloween.
Yeah.
And then she proceeds to tear everything down because she hates it so much.
She's like, we can't keep this here. My mother's going to be here and she'll never forgive me. And I was like, what is going on?
And so Sam does kill her it's a very Drew Barrymore-esque thing and shoves a lollipop in her mouth. Well, again, it's not really scary.
Really
Yeah. it was prosthetic. She had like a thing on. But it was comical, as evidenced by the opening credits that are comics and stuff. The Principal Wilkinson, I liked his story. It's weird like 3 times over.
Yeah.
You can't quite peg. And that was the most fun part, I think, for me with the movie, is the times you had no idea where it was going.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, he starts off what seems like nice, which is like helping the little fat boy and giving him candy.
Gotta go.
And then the little fat boy starts vomiting just like nothing but chocolate and blood. And then you're like, Dylan Baker might not be a good guy.
Well, and he like falls in Dylan Baker's lap, and Dylan Baker's kind of like,
ugh.
what am I gonna do now? And he takes a break to eat a lollipop. And then there's like a comedy, like a farce
Like a
scene where
comedy
he's
of
trying to like
errors,
carry. It was all it's very strange.
Yeah.
And then he, I guess, buries this kid in the backyard. There was another body in there. And as we come to find out, it was only half of the kid's body.
Well, it was not his head.
Yeah. And so all the while, Principal Wilkins, I keep saying Wilkinson, it's Wilkins.
Wilkins' son. Yeah.
Principal Wilkins' son is yelling from the window. And that part's very funny because he's being very pestery. And you're sort of just
It's sort of like, Grandma.
Yes.
He's like, when are we going to carve jack-o'-lanterns?
Yeah. And so you get the sense that you're like, God, he's just going to kill his son.
Yeah.
Which the whole time you're like, how did any of these people get to this point?
Yeah.
Is sort of what I was
I'm
thinking.
like, it's clear because it's clear he's done this before. It's clear he's murdered before. And so it's like, how is he doing this with the kid? And then it's like, where is the mother? And then as you're asking, where is the mother? Dylan Baker is like, how come mommy's not alive anymore? And I was like, did you kill her? Like, what happened?
And so you were sure he was going to kill that child.
I was. I thought he was.
Yeah, you were convinced.
Yeah.
And the reveal at the end was he takes the child down into the basement to carve up
jack-o'-lanterns.
Yeah, to carve up
the little fat boy's head.
because
Awful.
he needs help with the eyes.
The little boy needs help with the eyes, not Dylan Baker.
It was, I liked it. I thought it was funny.
It's certainly interesting.
Yeah, I was like, okay. My biggest complaint in the whole movie is I do not like that Wilkins is the vampire. That does not make any sense to me.
I don't know that he is the whole time. I don't know that he is both times.
Oh, well, then that's a wasted opportunity.
I agree.
Okay. Because I wanted the vampire to be real. I mean, because he had apparently punctured that woman's neck and she didn't feel it.
Yeah, and I feel like no matter how good your prosthetic teeth are, I'm not sure they're going to cut through all the way to the jugular, you know?
I don't think it was Dylan Baker the whole time because that didn't look like his eyes or his mouth.
At when he does the girl in the alley, I think that was like perhaps an actual vampire. And then later when he's trying to get to Anna Paquin, I think that's Dylan Baker because he was just looking for like, you know, a girl in a red cape in the woods.
Okay.
To murder.
I like that better, and I like the notion that being a predator himself, that even he would be in over his head.
Oh, yeah.
That weirdly is a theme of the movie, Predator and Prey.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I like that because he's the first predator that we actually see, because we don't see what gets Leslie Bibb necessarily. It's all very like smoke and shadows. And so I like that he's the first predator we see, and he also meets his own demise from a different predator.
Mm-hmm. So from there, we go with a group of kids to the rock quarry where we tell a...
Quarry?
Query is a question.
Well, you said query?
It's a query.
This is your vowel thing again.
Oh. If you're new to the show...
He has a vowel thing.
I have a slight speech impediment. I have a hard time with it, especially E, I, and U.
You listed them one time and it was
O,
every
and sometimes Y. I got A. I got apple.
You just clearly didn't have A.
Query. Oh.
Quarry.
So Diedrich Baker was in the query.
Quarry.
What's the Family Guy, the Maryland accent?
Oh.
Well, no, it's a Midwestern girls, and nobody here in Maryland understands what you're saying. Okay. So we're at the rock quarry.
Yay!
Okay.
There's a quarry in your book, man. I think I wrote that word every time.
And I loved this. I loved the old. It was very old school. Mm-hmm. That's another thing. It felt very.
So it felt urban legendy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like going back into like, I mean, obviously it's modern. And as you remarked a couple times in the movie, I think you were, because of its cult status, you were waiting for it to be sort of like campy or cheesy or whatever. And several times in the movie, you're like, this looks great.
It
like,
looks really good. Well, because that's the thing where I was like, how has this guy like really only done this and Krampus that are like, that we know are like his deal? And I was like, that feels insane, because first of all, the fact that this never had a theatrical release to me is crazy, because it's good.
Well, it's like Mike Flanagan has like 2 or 3 movies that never really like had a big thing, but then he hit.
Yeah.
And it's like, this has spanned longer and he hasn't hit.
And I'm just like, why haven't you hit yet? Because this is really good. And we loved Krampus. And I just like
the same mix of comedy and horror, though.
Plus he like gets big guns in his stuff, because it was like so many people in Krampus, and there are like a ton of people I recognize in this. They're on a smaller scale, like none of them are Toni Collette, but it's like still tons of people I recognize. So
the quarry scene, they tell this story to and I remember these stories like being like a kid, and it's stuff that as an adult I'm like, what?
Yeah, there's no way
parents would pay a bus driver to take their special needs children. And they all had like the old school scary masks. Like, have you ever looked at old Halloween costumes?
Yeah, they're awful. Awful.
Halloween, I mean, it's pop. We were talking about how it's like largely an American phenomenon. It obviously,
well, the way that we celebrate it, it like exists worldwide in like a sort of a cultural aspect. Yeah. But like the Party City aspect of it is very American. And even that's more recent, because we had the Halloween costumes from the late 80s where you wore like a plastic bag with like Oscar the Grouch painted on it, and then just that plastic mask with elastic around the back. I don't know what that's like. Remember the Barbie? My mom made all my Halloween costumes. Did she? Well, my mom made one for us too, because remember, actually, so I saw Thriller when I was like 4 years old, and it's scared the bejesus out of you. Yeah. It's tough.
It was like a life changing, like a life altering experience. And one of the ways that my parents came up to help me, because it proper traumatized me, was that I was going to be a werewolf for Halloween. And I was
what started your obsession?
Yeah. I was like all about it. But then my mom made me a costume and I scared myself with my own costume. So she had to lie to me and tell me that I was actually a dog, that she knew that I was going to be too scared, because I thought it was kind of like that by having the werewolf costume on me, I was already too far gone. Like I was tainted.
Oh, no.
And she was like, oh, it's a dog costume I made. And there's a photograph. I'll see if I can find it. There's a photograph of me where you can see on my face that it's only kind of working. I'm like,
oh my God, you should definitely see if you can find it. I was lots of things. When I was 10, she made me a Marvin the Martian costume.
That's amazing.
It was really good. I should see if my dad has any pictures of that. I was a mouse and a pumpkin, and I was Dorothy one year.
When I was like a kid, like not a child, like between no, like 7 to 12.
Oh, okay.
I was pretty suave. I went as Dick Tracy. I went as the Phantom of the Opera. Like I was very sort of Zorro, very debonair.
And no one knew you were gay?
No, that
Dick Tracy? I don't know. It seems just so on brand for you specifically and no one else.
I was Dick Tracy and Jenny was Breathless Mahoney.
Yeah.
I have a picture of that too.
I believe you.
We were 5. It was not at all inappropriate.
Okay, I didn't know you were only 5.
Our parents weren't drunk taking us around in a wagon.
I think they might have been.
What was I talking about?
The old-timey masks.
Yes, okay. So I loved that. And it was just a fun little vignette in the middle movie. And that's another thing that, again, I was kind of like surprised and delighted and marveled by was the production values. Because there's a scene where they drive the bus over the cliff into the quarry. And it like the camera it's not stationary, but the bus goes over and the camera kind of slow pushes and then goes down, and the bus is already in the water, sort of sinking. Mm-hmm. And it's just a very effective shot. Yeah. The fact that they managed to avoid the urge of the multiple angles of the bus, like, or like catching on fire,
or like a first person perspective from inside.
Yeah,
the bus.
It was very, very stylish. And so this part of the movie kind of, it didn't baffle me, but I didn't fully understand what they were going for
with the kids. I'm not 100% either, because it was like none of them. They played a prank
on a weird girl, which is mean.
Yeah,
but
the one girl,
she was a bitch.
The mean girl.
Yeah,
she seemed to be the one in charge, and the like 2 boys did not want to be doing this to Rhonda.
Well, one of them was a child, and the other one actually kind of like Rhonda, and they make sure to like set him up as quasi sympathetic, us to him and him to Rhonda. And so I didn't understand the point of doing that if you were then going to punish him.
Yeah, it was that part. I think that was probably my least favorite of the vignettes, because she also, the 3 of the kids from the beginning are like too, I don't know. We meet them too early and we stay with them too long to like, for them not to be the through line of this of the whole movie, and they're just not. They're just gone after the little quarry scene. So
what I was expecting was the prank that they pull on Rhonda when she falls. I was expecting for her to have hurt herself or even died. And that it goes to a very real place in this movie that in a way that this movie does not.
Right.
But I thought that was a more interesting sort of like dun dun dun. It was like, oh, it was all meant to be fun and games, but then our carelessness hurt someone.
Yeah. And that's definitely not what
it's not what happens. And I'm not gonna lie, I loved Ice in the Veins Rhonda.
Yeah.
Even the cute boy that was kind of nice to her, and she was just like, bye-bye. And she went up, and I loved Sam. I loved that he was like props, and she was like, I see you, I appreciate you. Like,
you love to see it.
They understood.
Sam loves to see it.
Queens.
Look, what are you gonna do?
So I kind of liked it. There was a lot, and I said to you several times, I was like, there was a lot of squelching and squishing.
Oh God, it just was like, I hate it.
And atmospheric, because when they were down in the quarry, it was like, it wasn't snow. It was almost like ash. It was like the upside down. I don't know. I was super into it. Apparently, I love this movie.
No, it's great.
So that brings us to what I labeled the Vixens. Little ahead of its time with the slutty Halloween costumes, 2007. Little.
I graduated college in 2007. There were slutty costumes from when we were in high school. 2005 was Mean Girls.
4.
Well, yeah. So.
Okay. I'm just saying they were like...
These also weren't very slutty.
No. Well...
They were like busty, but...
Yeah. I'm just saying that's a joke that got rode hard.
Oh, sure.
Is what I mean. I don't know that I think it was cutting edge.
I don't think these were played for a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I think they all just were dressing up as like princesses that had like a little bit of a sexy bent on it, but they weren't like the slutty costumes. I liked it. I actually thought all their costumes were...
It all tastes
nice.
The same.
What?
That's what the girl said.
Oh,
when they
did
were
it?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I didn't...
They were talking about her hooking up with and Karen Saylor was a girl. And she goes, what? It all tastes the same. And I was like...
It does not. I can guarantee you it does not.
You said, I was actually mad at you because when Cinderella was flirting with the elf clerk and you were like, this poor guy is going to get killed by their vaginas. And what?
How would I not guess that?
I didn't.
No, 100%.
You knew they were the bad guys.
I didn't know they were the bad guys. I knew he was going to die.
Oh. When you said killed by their vaginas, I was like, how do you know that they're searching for victims?
I didn't know they were searching for victims, but I just assumed...
You just thought that, okay, their sexy actions are going to lead to his death. Okay, I get
something
that.
like that, yeah.
No, because I was surprised.
Well, she just was like looking at him with, I'm going to murder you eyes, and was like, why don't you meet me there in 45 minutes? And I was like, well, he's going to die, obviously.
Well, because when you watch it again, there's lots of talk. Because remember, she calls Anna Paquin the runt of the litter.
Yeah.
There's several things they say throughout the whole thing where you're like, the news lady says something about werewolves, zombies, and demons, and like in that order, that's what happens. Because they did telegraph the werewolf thing, but it's one of my favorite things, to be completely honest, and it's so questionable, it's so hit or miss, but it's like you never fully understand the level of fantasy you're dealing with, especially with horror.
I think that's something I like about this guy, though, is that he goes for the fantasy kind of hard. Because
to that note, I was going to go to when Sam, there's the reveal without the burlap sack. And I think he's infinitely scarier with it. And it's one of those things where the reveal from a scary place isn't worth it. However, from a world building place, I think it is.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that it sort of blows the doors open to more. Hence why I want more from this world. I want to keep going down this path. But yeah, so the reveal with the Vixens is that they are werewolves. I don't...
Kind of disgusting werewolf.
Oh, absolutely. Talk about degloving. I had to explain to Kristen what a degloving was earlier. We were talking about Gerald's game, and then it happened here too. But I am pretty vocal about not loving female werewolves. I don't know. I apparently am very heteronormative with some of my fantasy. I have a very rigid gender role.
Like werewolves are boys,
mermaids are girls. Yeah.
That's the end of the story.
Having said that, this is probably my favorite depiction of female werewolves. I loved it. I loved the Sweet Dreams
that was
cover.
Because it was Marilyn Manson.
I don't know, it was good. I liked it.
It was really good. I liked the partial transformation they did before they ripped all their skin off.
There was like 3 layers. This is practical, very tangible movie.
Yeah.
And effective. Like a good because like,
Krampus was mostly too
very practical too.
Yeah, I like that.
Fucking, do you remember the Christmas tree angel?
Yeah, I do.
I loved that thing so much.
Because it was the one that was like,
But yeah, they peel like their skin off and stuff.
Well, they're also taking their leg skin off like stockings.
I loved it. I love it. I think it's so wonderful. And I love the ever evolving commentary of like scary movies being like, ladies, like beware the wolf. And now we're really heading in a direction of also dudes, maybe don't rape chicks because you never know when they'll eat you.
Yeah.
And I like that too.
That is, we can say what happened to Dylan Baker is he is like stalking Anna Paquin in the woods and he like goes to attack her. And then the next we see of him is he is in the clearing with the rest of the girls just going, help me.
Incapacitated
with pain. And then Anna Paquin comes out and she's all sexy where she wasn't before. And they just are like, it's your first time. It'll be great. It doesn't matter. And then she like just kind of molests him instead.
Yeah. Also a fun, cheap thrill seeing Anna Paquin as a werewolf, given what goes on. I thought, seriously, I was like, oh, fun.
Yeah.
That for me was easily the highlight of the movie.
I think I agree. Yeah.
It was done very well.
I did like that because it ties in with it. I did like the Principal Wilkins whole thing, but it does feed into the werewolf ladies.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked them. Those two were my favorites.
And and then ending on the Brian Cox stuff was my least favorite. It didn't do much for me other than tying up some of the loose story ends.
Well, I liked it better than the Kids in the Quarry.
Oh, really?
And I'm not prepared to die on the hill that I love Brian Cox.
You don't, though. You don't.
I don't like Agamemnon.
No, you don't like Brian Cox.
How do you know that?
Because we had a conversation about it, a full-blown conversation about it. One of the times when you were at my parents' house, we had a pool weekend, and you guys fell asleep. I forgot, we were drinking all day. And you guys fell asleep, and I went into my room to watch Penny Dreadful, and I was like, your favorite was on this episode of Penny Dreadful, and you're like, oh, God. Because he was on that one episode.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
Like a steel trap.
Well, I'm not going. Okay.
Anyways.
I'm not going to argue with you like Veronica Cartwright because I love Veronica Cartwright, but I don't have like a huge beef with Brian Cox that I can remember at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked his like story, I think was a little better than the Quarry Kids.
And it's interspersed.
And it is, yeah. I also liked the time kind of looping back on itself where we're like, seeing the different moments from different perspectives.
Well, because the assumption is a large chunk of it is happening simultaneously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, it ends very elegantly with Brian Cox giving Sam a treat and he leaves. And that's when he goes and we end at the beginning where he finds Leslie Bibb and the kids from the quarry. I ran through 3
Quarry
things to call them.
We're gonna one day we're gonna do like a My Fair Lady situation, and I'm just gonna put marbles in your mouth and make you say your vowel sounds.
What, quarry?
Enola Holmes.
Because I did it right, and they were like, "Why are you saying it so weird?"
You did say it right that time.
And I was like, because I knew if I didn't, you would let me have it. You were like, I wouldn't let you have it. I don't know why you're a witch in that scenario, but
I'll allow it.
So that was hide and seek or trick or treat.
Hide and seek.
When I was a kid, for the longest time, I thought the phrase was trick or treat.
Oh, okay. Like a tricker?
No, well, just trick or. Trick or. I thought it was
just a one word?
Trick or treat.
Oh, okay.
And it was
3 words, yeah.
Yeah. It's like how over time things can.
Yeah.
Like an apron used to be called a napron.
What?
Aprons. The original word was naprin.
I don't believe you.
Look it up. Google it right now.
I can't because of my computer.
And I think it was the same for uncle. I think it was originally nuncle.
I don't believe you.
I read it on Tumblr like 6 years ago.
Tumblr.
How naprin became an apron. Grammar girl.
Unbelievable.
Naprin, plural, obsolete form of apron.
All right.
Over time, things
stand corrected.
Vowels slide around.
Sure.
And so I thought it was trick or treat. Like tricker was a word.
Yeah.
And like by college, I was like, oh, trick or treat.
Okay. Well, that's fine because I was like feeding myself on a daily basis before I realized that no, all of the nutrients are not in the crust of the bread.
Like I said, I kind of loved it. I was a little bit surprised.
Also, check out our Back in December episode about Krampus.
Yeah.
Because it's also great.
It was just fun. I love fun, low stakes, well made entertainment.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think The Babysitter falls in this category,
yeah.
for sure.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we loved that. So.
Great. I know it was great. I love it.
And happy Death Day. Yeah.
So, okay.
All right. Well, if you liked this, you can follow us on Twitter at So I'm Watching or Instagram at So I'm Watching This Show. You can also subscribe on YouTube right over here if you're watching under my fingers. And then if you are just listening, you can rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen. Or you can follow along on our website, soimwatching.com. And that's it for us. Bye. Happy Halloween.